Live from New York. It's a show that's celebrating the number 1 seeded Bears. No shots fired. You did a great job.
Thank you. Got a 1 seed out here. We got a 2 seed. We got a
overtime.
4 seed. And a 10 seed.
They're both 6 and 6. Let's all.
Thank you.
Wild. That is irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant.
It's got a
We
little
are
relevance.
number 1 in the division.
But
That's all. We got the same record. One's
Bring
a
the
4
robe out
seed
then.
and
Yeah,
a 9
exactly.
seed.
Why are
That's
we
what I'm
retiring
saying.
the
It's
robe?
irrelevant.
Bring the robe out.
wow.
Nah.
From the man who invented SPOB. This
500.
Right now, just getting the play. Okay. Right now.
Today.
Bar's been lowered.
But we're starting
We'll make
with
it.
a Chicago Bears win. They run all over the Eagles, 281 on the ground, almost twice the time of possession. I have to admit,
It's so great.
that may have turned me.
Yeah!
I mean, the players are.
The players love
The
it.
vibes are sky
Yes,
high.
as you're the king of vibes, KW.
The vibes are high on that.
Sky.
I was
Oh,
ready
yeah.
to mock it.
1 seed in vibes, 1 seed in the NFC.
Also, it's sneaky
vibes.
similar physique to you, KW.
No, much more cut.
You are.
Oh, I look like
What?
white Greg Jennings, bro.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
A little bit. Okay. What did the Bears prove?
What an enjoyable sporting event,
Okay,
huh?
here we
No
go.
congratulatory text from any of you guys. What they prove?
You're right. Wait, the
0 for
group
3.
chat totally silent on Friday. You're right.
Congratulatory
Whatever.
text.
Yeah.
Greatest
Yeah.
win in 5 years
Yeah.
for any team I root for. I got crickets.
Yeah.
They proved a lot. They proved short term that they can whoop you. Like the style of the fight was, oh my God. Like they went into Philly on a short week and ran for 280 yards on the champs. Like that's a thing that the league takes notice of.
Yes.
Long term, like very macro for the Bears, this is an organization that every 2 or 3 years turns over head coaches. Like Ben Johnson is pretty incredible. Like I am thrilled. I am like football smitten. Like it feels like he will be the coach.
More than football, Smith.
Yeah, I mean,
Watching you.
can we play that video again? It was no, that's fair. That's totally fair. It feels like he'll be there for a decade, and he's a great play caller, and he's changed the culture. And I mean, literally last year on Thanksgiving, we all watched a Bears head coach forget that he's allowed to call a timeout, and then on Black Friday this year, they do that. But for this season, I think it proved that they can win a Super Bowl.
This season?
Yeah. Now, is that the most likely outcome? Of course not. But the Rams just lost to the Panthers, and the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. And there's questions about every team in the NFL. It doesn't seem like the year where there's a dominant team or even groups of teams. And so if we can show you what the Bears have been under Ben Johnson since their bye was in week 5. So we have a large body work. They've won 9 of their last 10 games.
I didn't realize the rushing yards are that high.
They're the best running team in the NFL. They're the most explosive offense in the NFL. They're the best takeaway team in the NFL. They're the best turnover differential team in the NFL. And right now, the NFC playoffs would go through Chicago. So you'd have to go play in 20-degree weather against the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. That's not a team anyone is going to want to play. So yeah, they can win a Super Bowl.
So, here, listen, I think that the Bears have proven, and I said this earlier, but I want to kind of dive into it more. To me, they have proven exactly what the Pats have proven, which is ahead of schedule. It would be, for the Patriots, it's almost impossible. For the Bears, it's not impossible, but it would take a collapse for them to miss the playoffs. Like at this point, it would be a catastrophe if they missed the playoffs. And you feel really good about the teams for different reasons, to be totally honest. Like to me, the Bears are a more complete team with a quarterback that is still more hot and cold. The Pats, to me, are a team that has, I'm talking about the offensive side of the ball, some pretty obvious weaknesses that the quarterback masks. But if their resumes season-wide, if you put them next to each other, are very, very similar. So 7th, 8th in points, 6th, 8th in yards. So again, the Patriots 3rd in passing, 20th in rushing. The Bears 16th in passing, 2nd in rushing. To your point of what travels better in the playoffs, whether it's going to Chicago or in the NFC, going to Green Bay if they don't win the division, going to Philadelphia, they get it together. I buy that. I personally would be shocked if either one of these teams wins the Super Bowl. I'd be less shocked if the Pats made it, actually, because the AFC feels more wide open. But I think that, and the reason to me those two teams are a good juxtaposition is they both have the second-year quarterback. They both have the new head coach. They both have benefited from, up to this point, a soft schedule, but they both have a signature win.
Yeah.
Like, you guys won, it was in Buffalo, right? It was in Buffalo. It wasn't as dominant, but it felt, because it's a divisional opponent, like so important. And you guys going into Philadelphia in a game that I had Bears +7 as one of the picks on Wednesday, but it wasn't because of Brew. I thought it was going to look like that. You know what I mean? I thought that Philly's offense might be just terrible, and Philly's offense kind of was, but I didn't think the Bears were going to pile up 450 yards of offense on what had been one of the 3 or 4 best defenses in football the last 3 months.
I mean, they had held the Eagles, the Lions, and the Packers to 16 total points in the back-to-back games. So, Danny, your boys impressed me. You know, I did not believe in them. I mean, I thought
Who's the him in this right now? Ben Johnson or Caleb? I'm being serious. When you said you
said the boys, yeah, just the Bears.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Ben Johnson's, you just got to give him love. And you can see Caleb really appears to fully believe in Ben Johnson, which I just think is going to be great for his career going forward as he continues to grow. But I think, sure, this is a year where it looks like, is there one?
I think
great
the Rams
team?
are a great team.
Maybe, and I'm not going to hold the Carolina loss against them too much because it happens, right? They might lose 5 games this year, so but I just haven't been as high on the Rams as you are. So I'll give you that there doesn't look like there are many, if any, great teams, and so why not the Bears? But what I like too about them is as good as they're playing right now, there's still major growth because Caleb's not playing great. He's not playing as well as Drake may. Like, he's still very up and down. He doesn't turn the ball over, which is fantastic. So even if he's not putting up huge numbers or throwing a lot of touchdowns, they still can win, and play well. But imagine when he really starts, because he does have his moments. And in those fourth quarters, he has a lot of those moments. But when he becomes more consistent, and it might even be later this season, becomes more consistent, it will just take them to another level. They're going to get to show it. They got Green Bay twice. They got Detroit, I think.
Yep, they got one against Detroit, one against San Francisco, 2 against Green Bay.
Yeah, so they're going to get to show it.
And Cleveland's defense. Well, to your point, Brew, Ben Johnson said today, and I think all of you guys will like this because he's been a truth teller. He said we're winning in spite of our passing game, and that doesn't make any of us happy. So he's not resting on his laurels or anything like that. Caleb clearly can be a lot better with his accuracy.
That's what makes them scarier.
Correct.
Is actually that they're not to belabor the comp I'm making. I don't think this season Drake is going to jump a level because he might be the MVP of the league right now. You know what I mean? I don't think there's.
Do you think Caleb's going to become more accurate in season?
I think that I think that it's going to be hard for Drake May to play much better over the next 8 games, including the playoffs, than he's played up to this point. He's played so well. I think we all expect Caleb to play at least a little better. Like he's gotten, to me, it feels like Caleb's gotten progressively better over the course of the year.
He's had games better than he had there. He's had fourth quarter drives. He's had great halves. He's had a couple of really good statistical games. By the way, the touchdown pass to Cole Kmet, Cole's going to be on the show this week, so he'll talk about all the vibes in Chicago.
On the flip side, the Eagles lost their second game in a row and were booed on their home field, and more than just the normal booing, bro.
There's a lot of booing in Philadelphia.
I don't know, but this one hurt. Panic time?
Yeah. And it's up to the coach or the quarterback to fix it. Like that game, I understand was the defense was as big of a culprit, but that has not been the issue at hand. Like here is the gift and the curse of, man, the thing about me is I'm a winner, is you have to just consistently win. And the Jalen Hurts, like this is a weird year because Jalen Hurts' stats actually, I think, are better than he's played.
Yeah.
The touchdown to turnover, the turnover numbers are really good, but if you watch the Eagles and you look at the Eagles' offensive stats, you would say, did they have a rash of horrible injuries? Like, did Jalen miss time? And I don't know if we can show you the season stats, but they are basically bottom third in the NFL in everything substantial, and that 3-and-out percentage is historically bad over the last decade. And so either if it's something about the coordinator and the quarterback and the receivers and Saquon and the O-line not being on the same page, that's Nick Sirianni's job. Mm-hmm. And if it's just what Brian Baldinger showed us on Twitter this weekend, which is Jalen's just missing throws, then that's Jalen's job. But because I have seen this team fall apart despite having a good record and despite being healthy, in recent history, I would be very worried that they are on the precipice of falling apart again. But please, Philadelphia, wait to fully fall apart until after you beat the Chargers Monday night, which I really need you to do.
Yeah, and if they beat the Chargers Monday night, they're not in any sort of free fall. Like I wouldn't panic because I do really look at this season as being wide open for everyone. And while we talk a lot about the dysfunction in Philly because they give us a ton of reasons to talk about the dysfunction in Philly, their resume isn't that bad. It's not good. Those ranks are not good. But if you said, like, it takes 4 games to win a Super Bowl, right? Assuming they're not going to be the 1 seed, you got to win 4 straight games. They already have 2 different 4-game win streaks this season. Like if they go 3.
But don't you think the resume right now is better than the tape? Not that we're like tape guys, like watching the All-22, but their resume looks better. Their win-loss resume looks better than they look on a week-to-week basis.
No question, but winning ugly, I've heard, is a skill. And they've beaten the Rams, and they've beaten the Chiefs, and they've beaten the Packers, and they've beaten the Lions. Like, they've beaten playoff caliber teams, and they have a ton of talent. I'm not sitting here, I'm not a big Sirianni guy, I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts guy, certainly not a big Kevin Patullo guy, but in this particular year, where I don't think they're going to be threatened by the Cowboys to win the division, so they'll probably be an 11-win defending Super Bowl champion that's the 2 seed in the NFC. It's not that bad a situation.
But that's the
to be
resume.
in.
They were the 11-win defending NFC champion the year of the supernatural funk when they got dog walked in their first playoff.
And that was the thing. Like, I'm more with Danny. If they lose to the Chargers, then I think it'll be panic time. I don't think it is right now. But if they lose to the Chargers, now they really probably are in that supernatural funk. And what you said about 2023, they were 10-1, and then lost 5 of their last 6 or something crazy.
Yeah, they lost 5 of 6.
That to me was different. Like, if they beat the Chargers, like he said, finished with 11 wins, it's kind of, 2 wins here, a loss there. I don't think that is, and in the NFC, who has looked consistently better? The Rams. That's it. And they beat the Rams. So in the conference, Green Bay hasn't looked consistently better. Obviously, Tampa, San Francisco's looked good, but they got their limitations because of injuries. And Seattle has looked good. You might say Seattle.
I think Seattle's looked excellent. Seattle,
but we have questions about Seattle's quarterback in the big moments. So it is just. They got to beat the Chargers.
But even, I don't know if we can throw up their schedule real quick. Even if they beat the Chargers, like we are, the Raiders.
Then you got the Raiders, they're going to win.
That would be a tragic loss to the Raiders, who some people thought could be really good.
Nick?
But they're already on a 2-game losing streak, is my point. Like they have already, you're right, they went from 10-1 to 11-6. Well, right now they've gone from 8-2 to 8-4, and they weren't that happy at 8-2. And so,
as long as they keep letting AJ put up numbers.
No, but that hasn't been working.
Yeah, they actually have bad record.
Well, there are those that think sometimes when they force feed AJ Brown, that's when they start losing some games.
But there wasn't any part of this, KW. You're the Eagles guy, or you're the Jalen Hurts guy,
and with a dash of Saquon guy.
Well, I don't know when you Bruce the Saquon guy.
I'm
Everybody
definitely
knows
a
that.
Saquon guy
He's
from-
Christian
from a
McCaffrey
year
like
ago.
impact.
Just
Nobody's ever thought
that
of
just
Saquon.
continues year after year for that great.
But
if they beat the Chargers, though, they're going to beat the Raiders. They'll be 10-4. And like Danny said, I'm not.
No,
You
but
know,
just
they'll
they're
split
prime
even
for-
if they split.
But if we
with
did a segment,
Washington.
which team is most likely to get upset at home, it would almost be a universal Eagles pick, maybe the Bears.
Oh!
And there was just what I was going to ask you, whether you're the Eagles guy or not. We'll call you Eagles guy for the time being. Picked them win the Super Bowl. I just thought getting run on, having the tush push fail, and getting the ball stripped, that wasn't at all
not
a
a great-
rush in his
great-
cup moment. That now we have seen 2 times the tush push be stripped. We heard from Al Michaels during the game, it's like, oh, turns out Jalen Hurts doesn't like this play. And,
Yeah, you can't tell,
made it clear that I was great at the QB sneaks before it. It just feels like there's a lot of, whatever the vibes are in Chicago that you love and that Danny loves.
This is the opposite.
It sure feels like the opposite.
Unfortunately, I think they're going to lose this Chargers game.
Well,
I
then
think they're
it
starting to
becomes
spiral a little
The
bit.
Chiefs more.
I'm in a pretzel.
I'd be
can't
more
really
beat up
devastated
the
for the
Chiefs
Chiefs than the Eagles.
For the Chiefs, yeah. If you can't run the ball, it's hard to win football games. That's it.
That's why I like the Bears.
Yeah, that's right. On the flip side, the Chiefs are now 6-6. Mahomes had 4 touchdowns. Dallas had 31 points. What's he like talking about? Big plays? Or
I
what
have
is he
no
talking
idea.
About?
I honestly, I don't want to
I like
dissect
that. I like hearing that. If I'm a Chiefs guy, though, I
No,
want to hear that.
and Patrick,
That
listen,
resilience.
Patrick's talked about we have to win out. He never talks about more than the game in front of him yesterday, and then Andy said that today.
So what was your big takeaway from this?
I mean, just a maddening season if you're a Chiefs fan, because it feels like we've seen moments where the defense is great, and we've seen moments like Thursday where Mahomes and the offense are great, and they can never be great at the same time, which is why if they got in, which would require winning 5 straight, people would be like, well, why can't they win 9 straight and win a Super Bowl? And I think all of us would be like, well, yeah, I guess so. You know, and like that's the
9 straight now seems like a lot.
No, I
think
agree with
5
you.
straight, but 9, I was like, eek.
No, listen, I think they're going to miss the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
to be very, very clear. But when you hear one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach ever, and one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback ever talk like that, and you see Mahomes play like that, it's hard to completely rule them out.
Yeah.
But I think what happened on Thursday was their defense failed them. They got the takeaway on the first drive, and then after the first drive of the game, we can show this is the worst defense in the league type stuff that they did. And I know Dallas's offense.
And
has
they
been
were
great.
3rd and longs, man. It was 3rd and 7. It was 3rd and 10, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, but it was basically anything was going for them. They forced 1 punt, no sacks, no takeaways the rest of the game. So your defense let you down.
I think the Cowboys, coming into this game, Josh, what was it? Against top 10 defenses, the Cowboys had the #1 offense?
No, they had been
Scoring-
cooking, but
No question.
But listen, the 3rd down defense is if we went back to the show we did after the Chiefs Week 1 loss to the Chargers.
Yeah.
And we did a variation of like how concerning it was, because I went back and looked. The first thing I said, because I dismissed any worries about the offense. I was like, Xavier Worthy was the centerpiece of the game plan, got his shoulder popped out on the first play, offense going to be fine. I said, their inability to get to Herbert and generate any pass rush concerned me. And that has been a theme throughout the year, that if you are a competent quarterback, you can give this Chiefs defense real trouble. And that is a bigger concern, to be totally honest, for a potential playoff run than it is necessarily for these next 5 weeks. Not that CJ and Herbert aren't competent. Herbert obviously already beat them. But they're not going to play, in my opinion, sorry, Danny, a quarterback of Dak's level again this year. But to win a Super Bowl, you're going to go through Drake May, who's going to be there. Josh Allen, who's going to be there.
Justin Herbert
Jackson.
Well, if the Chiefs get in, Herbert probably won't be in. But so maybe he'll be there, maybe he won't, and maybe the Chiefs won't be in. But they do. It is true they have to run the table, and it's just it's an unlucky year for the Chiefs to have their worst year, because since they've expanded the playoffs, 10 wins get you in. There have only been 2 teams since they've expanded the playoffs to win 10 games and not get in. The 2024 Seahawks and one other team. There have been 9 teams to get into the or 8 teams to get into the playoffs with 9 wins or fewer, not as a division winner, not like how Brew's stupid Ravens are going to get in this year. But like the first, there's going to be a 10-win team left out, maybe multiple in the AFC, which is why they got to run the table. And they have squandered their margin of error. And if you look back on it, Brew, the game that I will circle the whole time that they had no business losing, they had total control of, was the Jacksonville game. They're up 14 points. They had a fourth quarter lead. You know what I mean? Like that, as up and down as everything's been, if they're sitting here at 7-5 with a tiebreaker over Jacksonville and one, all of it, then we're like, okay, in a wide open AFC, we'll take it. But that's not where they're at, so they have to run the table.
Yeah, like Danny said, it's hard to completely write them off just because of their pedigree. But there is no, outside of the history, there's really no reason to think they're going to be able to run the table. Just because we haven't, like they have had 2 must-wins recently that they lost. Denver, Buffalo, I'll even give them because they generally lose to the Bills. It's the Bills Super Bowl, if you will. That's fine. But Denver and this game against Dallas were like,
and the Colts
you got to
game,
have it.
They were on
Colts
the ropes.
Right.
They were on the ropes.
They did win that one, but 2 games where they got to have it. We're used to seeing them come through, and they didn't. So it's hard to see them running the table.
5-1 at home.
You got to run on the table.
They play the Chargers at home. They play Houston at home. They play Denver at home. They're 5-1 at home. Their only losses to the Eagles, who have their number, and then they go on the road to play the Raiders in the last game of the season. People are looking at,
Houston's the game.
Restaurant reservations in Cancun.
And the Titans.
And the Titans, who have 1 win.
Yeah.
That is
Some
very
Houston's the game.
Some
though.
smart people, Wilds, thought the Titans and Raiders were going to make the playoffs this year.
I did not think the Titans
It was an asterisk.
It was an
As
asterisk.
close as possible.
They can.
They can do it.
No, you are.
I don't think
you
they
are
will.
out.
Yesterday, the Bills handed Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers their 3rd straight loss. Uh-oh, Willie. Pittsburgh only put up 7 points. Buffalo hung 26 on them. The fans, shockingly, not that happy with how the Steelers' season is going. They let Mike Tomlin hear it. Willie, I genuinely am fascinated to hear how you're going to react to this. You know Mike Tomlin. You were a Steeler. You got a Steelers ring. There's your towel.
You're going to pay for that.
Greg threw it to you. Greg threw it to you, not me.
Just in case you needed it.
What is your reaction to Mike Tomlin hearing "Fire Tomlin" chants in Pittsburgh?
It was tough. Mike Tomlin means a lot to me on a lot of different levels, especially a personal level. But yesterday felt like the village just coming for the King's head. And it was tough because when you turn on that game and you watch the tape, through all 4 quarters, the Steelers didn't have an answer schematically or physically. They got bullied, right? You talk about the Bills being down 2 tackles and Josh Allen never touched the turf. That's not Steeler football. On top of that, you watch James Cook rush for 249 yards and look like the second coming of O.J. Simpson. That was tough. What's even tougher is our battle cry is Renegade, performed by the Sticks, a rock group. They played that and Steeler Nation booed. So this looked like, it looked like, I can't even, like I watched this and I felt like a sinking, like a really like a sick feeling in my stomach because I realized after watching, there's nobody coming through those doors to help the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is who they are. They've been mediocre all year. And the bright side to this misery, this football purgatory the Steelers are in, they play in the AFC North. That's the only bright side about it. And I'm watching Tomlin right now, and he said he's going to figure it out, continue to watch it, continue to support. Steeler Nation has seen this episode. They've seen this movie time after time. They know how this ends. And so I'm frustrated because I want to believe, like all the alumni, all the guys who have wore the black and gold, that this will turn around. But yesterday, watching Aaron Rodgers look like a beat-up prize fighter was a walking billboard that it's not going to turn around. They're playing on borrowed time, and hopefully, by the football guys, they get some grace. But it doesn't look good.
Wow. Greg, you know Rodgers. What are your thoughts hearing that?
Yeah, well, they should be frustrated because at the start of the season, the Pittsburgh Steelers and that organization, basically what they were telling the NFL and their fans were, we're going for it. We just got to get the quarterback. And the reason why I say they were telling everybody they were going for it, because you go out and you get DK Metcalf. He obviously gets paid, and then you say, you know what? We're going to make sure we pay T.J. Watt because he's going to produce. Cam Hayward, he's going to produce. Jalen Ramsey, you get all these pieces.
Jonnu Smith.
You acquire all these pieces and you extend some of the pieces that you currently had, and then you get the quarterback. You're basically telling your organization and your fan base, this is our year. We believe that we have what it takes to make a run. And then you turn on that film, specifically yesterday, that was terrible. So they should be frustrated. They should be over it. And the fire Tomlin, I can imagine, is like you said, it has to hurt to hear that. But when you are constantly fed these falsities, if you will, and it's just not ever been enough, you're going to showcase that frustration, and that's what they're doing.
You got to it at the end with like the reruns. Like that's kind of what I would imagine it. Like, so I will rewatch a movie that I love 100 times, or I've seen The Wire 10 times all the way through, whatever it is. But like, imagine if you just had to watch an average show over and over and over again. Like, no one wants to watch a C movie 15 times. Like the Steelers, it's very impressive, legitimately, that they've never had a losing season since Mike Tomlin has been there, and he's been there since 2007. That's really impressive. But he's 0-6 in his last 6 trips to the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
With a lot of blowouts, and a lot of big numbers have been hung on Mike Tomlin defenses, some by great quarterbacks, some by Blake Bortles, right? And so it is just like, it feels like one way or another, and I can't really imagine the Steelers firing Mike Tomlin because of their history with coaches.
That's another good point.
But I could see them saying, hey, for all parties involved here, trade. Like, it's time to move on, because I don't see how you get out of, we're too good to be bad enough to draft a great quarterback, but we're not good enough to really win anything. Yeah. It's just this cycle of rewatching a C movie every time, and Steelers fans are too smart for that. I think they're finally fed up.
And the problem is when you look around the league and you see the emerging quarterbacks, the Jaden Daniels, the Drake Mays, the Bo Nix of the world, and you look at your organization, we don't have that guy on the roster. And even though you drafted Will Howard in later rounds, you're still looking for a guy who can lead your team. And so when you put it all together, this organization right now, and you hit it. I mean, you're spot on, Danny. They've seen enough for it where they're stuck, right? Because they're always in the kind of limbo. They're good enough, but not great. They're good enough, but bad enough to kind of survive in this area. And the problem also, the roster's getting old. Right? And they looked old yesterday. That was the biggest thing. On a dark and rainy day, the Pittsburgh Steelers looked like they were aging by the quarter. And while the Buffalo Bills is like, we're just going to beat you up and make you tap. And they did. And so I don't know what the answer is, but listen, we got Baltimore this week. Best of luck. I'm still playing, right? I'm still passionate.
No, hey, you bleed the black and gold. It's respectable. Baltimore's going to be a problem. On the other side of the ball in that game, the Bills do deserve some conversation here. They needed the bounce-back win. 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception from Allen, 144 on the ground from Cook. So I still consider the Bills really dangerous. And that is partly because of Josh Allen, James Cook, their offensive line, and like their best looks dominant. But admittedly, it has been inconsistent for the team that I picked to win the Super Bowl. But part of why I think Buffalo is really dangerous is also because I'm not sure how dangerous any team in the AFC is. So why not them? But how dangerous do you think the Bills are?
Look, I still think this team is dangerous because of the guy under center. Like, as long as they have Josh Allen and he's able to put on that cape and they're able to do what they do, which is run the football better than anybody else in the National Football League, if that's what shows up when it's needed in the postseason, this team has an opportunity to beat anybody, because if he has the ball last, you believe in him. And it seems, or at least it appears at this moment, that the big red machine may not even be in the dance. And so when you look at the landscape of quarterbacks, who do you then trust? Specifically coming out of the AFC, and I think all hands will be raised saying Josh Allen, Josh Allen, Josh Allen. So this is why this team is still dangerous. Defensively, they have issues.
Yeah.
They definitely have voids in that defense.
They cannot stop the run.
And that's who they are.
Yesterday.
But not a great offense.
But when you supplement that by being able to run the ball, possess the ball more than your opponent, you give your defense chance to rest, and those weaknesses aren't as glaring.
The Bills' defense did look okay against a one-handed
They
quarterback.
did.
Against a one-handed 41-year-old quarterback.
They look great. They look excellent.
This is always an asterisk.
Sorry.
Well, I would say this. I'm not scared of Josh Allen. I'm scared of James Cook because the offense looks different when it goes through him. You talk about him having 140 yards on the ground, and what he did yesterday was attack the edges. And when you see him get to the second level and have that home run speed, it looks like a guy who's, listen, I thought they kind of got away from him in the middle of the season. Now he's starting to have a resurgence. I thought yesterday was a breakout game for him. And I think the Bills are dangerous as long as they continue to feed James Cook.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and it feels like damning with faint praise. But we can put up the AFC playoff picture. And Greg, it's to your point. It's like, do I want to compliment the Bills by being like, yeah, but do you really believe in Daniel Jones? Or do you really believe in Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
You know, but that's Bo Nix. Like,
yeah.
the Broncos defense is really good. We'll see if the Texans end up getting in. Their defense, I think, is excellent. But that grouping of teams that would be in there, I know me. I will pick the Bills as the 7 seed to come out of it. I just will. Like, I'll be like, okay.
Very bunchy.
And that's
very
fair.
bunchy
That's
But it's reductive because it's not just the quarterback that wins games. It's the ultimate team sport. But I know myself, I would look at that. If that was the bracket, I would say, yeah, I think Buffalo's coming out of it.
Yeah, but the reason, too, and I know it's not just the quarterback. Sean McDermott finds a way to scheme in the biggest moments. He just finds a way. That defense doesn't seem to have the same glaring issues in the postseason when we know, okay, they can't stop the run. Well, in the postseason, I can almost guarantee you they're going to do everything within their power.
A lot of ball left, though. It's 5 games.
Yeah, a lot of ball left, and
left.
some big games yesterday that kind of shifted the playoff picture in both conferences.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.